Hello, everyone. Welcome back to 10 Minutes Astrology. I'm Rochard.
And I am Alejo Lopez. Welcome, everyone.
Hello, Alejo. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm a little bit jet lagged, to be honest.
Yeah,
I'm
I
just like,
know. Where are you? That's the question. What
well,
time
yes.
are you in? That's the
Oh,
question.
yeah, because I'm in very different time zone. I'm in Taiwan at this moment. So, everything is new for me. I'm here to visit my family for a while. So, like today we planning to recording, I was just like totally forget different time zone things. So I was still like, yeah, I can do it slowly until you send me a message. You say, are we supposed to do recording now?
I was at home waiting because usually people don't know this. Usually, when we record, Rod
Yeah,
sends me a message 5 minutes or 10 minutes before with the link and everything. And
yeah.
most of the times I'm late. Most of the time I arrive 2 or 3 minutes late. Like, yeah, just 1 minute because I'm preparing my cup of tea or something. And this time it was
And
like
today nothing
the
happened.
exact time and nothing came in. And I was like, okay, this sounds a bit odd. So I said, I will record it today. You know, here we are.
Well, but this is the funny thing because we usually talking about something related to this kind of I'm mocking people with how couldn't they work out a time zone. And
Yeah.
also sometimes we just like look at Alejo's busy schedule and say, how can Alejo handle all this? And now I just realize, oh my God, this is so-called bad karma.
Yes.
And it was so interesting. But this is related to what we're going to talk about. But before we started, because we have quite a lot of news to announce, but from my side first, then I will invite Alejo to share his news. From my side, on the 10th of February, we have Adelaide going to talk about earthquake in astrology. She is going to show
Oh,
you her
wow.
research about earthquake and the signature of earthquake in the astrology in the mountain side. And then on I think it's 24th of February, we have Darby Costello talking about the relationship in the chart. And that is aimed to the beginner of astrology, like our 10 minutes astrology's audience. So you are very welcome to join us. And Darby is really good in the talking about the relationship in the chart and about question and also how we interpret the chart in the relationship. That will be so interesting. And each talk will be £20. Please come to join us. I know Alejo has a busy schedule. So Alejo, what are you
You
going
know,
to do? What are you yeah.
the first time I met Darby was in a workshop about relationships in astrology. So this was when
We
I
know
first met
she's
him in London.
focus on
I was
this.
there for that.
Yeah.
Yes. So my events on the 10th of January, I'm doing a webinar about minor and major aspects at the Faculty of Astrological Studies. So if you
Yeah.
like to practice a little bit more aspects, you're invited. On the
Mm-hmm.
15th of February, I'm starting a workshop. It's 3 sessions on chart analysis. So basically, if you're struggling on how to work with the chart, that's the today. And I
Definitely.
would like to invite everyone. This is a free event that we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Rod is also in some ways involved with this. It's for the Astrological Association of Great Britain. We're organizing one chat every month. It's called Astrological
Mm-hmm.
Duets. For free, you can come
Mm-hmm.
and you support the Astrological Association, which is the association that supports astrology. So it's a very important work that you do. All of us who
Mm-hmm.
work there are volunteers, basically, because we want to promote astrology.
Yeah.
And we're going to have Chris Mitchell. He's invited, and he's going to
Whoa!
talk about how did medieval astrologers do prediction when they didn't have Uranus, Neptune, and Pluto, which to me is a mystery.
That is so interesting, and Chris is a fantastic astrologer, and he focused on medieval thing, and it's so interesting. I encourage everyone come to join us on Astro Duet. This is support astrological association, and yeah, that will be so interesting. Yep. So Alejo, because last episode we finished the moon sign. So
Mhm.
what are we going to start to talk about for next 12 episode?
So now we're going to start talking about Saturn. And I think it makes a lot of
Mm.
sense to talk after the moon to talk about Saturn because the moon, is about the embodiment and it's about the matter of things, like
Mm-hmm.
what you need for nourishing. It's about
Mm-hmm.
body, your bodily experience. And
Mm-hmm.
Saturn in some ways not the same thing, but it's also related to the idea of being rooted, being grounded, having
Mm-hmm.
body that creates certain restrictions, certain limitations. So I think in a chart, actually, I think you always need to read the moon and Saturn together. You need to look
Mm-hmm.
at, because the moon is what we need and Saturn is what we
Mm-hmm.
feel we don't have. So
Yeah.
I think there's always a connection there.
Definitely. Yeah, and I think it would be very interesting because these two planets rule the opposite side of zodiac. Moon rule the Cancer, and then the Saturn rule the Capricorn and the Aquarius. But the opposition of the Cancer sign is Capricorn. So there is the relationship there between the two planets. But also I think because we discussed this, because in the beginning I suggest, oh, so let's go for Saturn with the sign. But you say that would be, very interesting because Saturn goes through the sign, it's like 28 years. But how about Saturn through the house? That would be so interesting. But when we talk about the case example, we will definitely delineate a little bit about the sign in there. But I think we will just blend in. But so today we will start from the Saturn in the first house, right?
Yes, let's start with Saturn in the first house. Yes.
Yeah. So how about we give a review, very quick review about what does Saturn mean in the chart?
So we said Saturn is about restrictions, limitations, the sense that we don't have that in our chart, or a sense in a place in which we feel judged. And probably it's a place from which we judge others and we judge
Mm-hmm.
ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So usually it might be a place also that we fear. We feel maybe we are not, we haven't reached our potential in that area of life. And so usually
Yeah.
we put a lot of work and effort in that area of life. And because we do that, we develop those talents with time, which is another word for Saturn. And that's why Rod was saying that the whole thing about time zones is important
Yeah.
today, mostly with Saturn.
Indeed.
And so, yeah, this is what I would say about Saturn.
Yeah,
Yes.
exactly. I think it is because our program is aimed on the beginner. So I would suggest, most people are fear about Saturn. Most people are fear about
Mm.
Saturn. So yes, remember one thing is related to fear, but also is how we deal with our fear. And mostly, if we take in a very positive and active way to handle our fear, it means we are going to prepare ourselves for to avoid fail, to avoid to some people will be maybe denied, and some people will be like practice more and be more professional. And that's the best thing in the Saturn. And I think it is how this subject Saturn in the chart make famous astrologer Liz Green become totally change the view of everyone, because usually in her book The Old Devil,
Yeah.
uh, because in the medieval time, in the ancient time, look Saturn as a disaster, malefic, and everything related to Saturn would be disaster and a bad thing. But this Green interpreted in the psychological level and give a meaning about like we can use the time, we can practice, and we can become an authority with Saturn, which I'm totally agree. I'm totally agree with her. So remember, it's not just fail, it's not just fear. You can also use this fear, or you want to practice more, you want to be more practical. So
Yes.
today we will jump into the Saturn in the first house. For those people who have Saturn in the first house, how they going to feel about their fear, or how about they going to practice in their life?
So we said the first house is about beginnings, right? And it's about how we approach the world. So if we have Saturn
Mm-hmm.
there, the beginning of our life must probably have demanding some kind of effort, or we might have felt some
Mm-hmm.
kind of restriction when we first came into life. And that's going to
Wow.
happen every time we start something. So every time we start something, the first thing we feel is a wall saying, no, you can't do this. So probably the person feels that in order to begin projects, to do things, they have to be
Mm-hmm.
very consistent. They have to develop a lot of discipline. They have to be willing to stand several tests and several judgments. Because
Mm-hmm.
Saturn, as we said, it is time. It does promise. The good thing about Saturn is that it does promise result if you do the work, right?
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
the first sensation with Saturn in the first might be the sense of restriction, but actually this
Mm-hmm.
may allow to start projects that are more mature, that are more
Mm-hmm.
significant, and that will last for a longer period of time. Then if
Mm-hmm.
we think about the first house like this, the image, what people first see in others,
Yep.
they see we are like a serious person, a responsible person.
Mm-hmm.
We go into a room and we go into a room with a kind of aura of authority. They might see
Mm-hmm.
us as perhaps a bit cold or detached, like the idea that there's a boundary between us and the rest of the world. And again, this requires some work. Of course, you will not become an authority if you don't
Mm-hmm.
work to achieve that. But I would say probably Saturn in the first house, because they feel somewhat rejected, perhaps when they first go into a room, then they work so
Mm-hmm.
much on themselves that they become this kind of very mature, very powerful, consistent presence in a room
Mm-hmm.
because they have worked so much in it.
So interesting. Yeah, I agree with you about this Saturn. We can look at it from the like a fear side. They have fear about themselves, and also I really feel interesting. You mentioned about this. Then when in the beginning of life, they have like so many challenges. Then they were turn into the how they beginning the things, how they started the things with the Saturn, and that is so interesting, and that would be really help us to delineate the chart. One thing I like to relate to Saturn is also from our mind. Saturn help us to define the things. So the Saturn in the first house, we are trying very hard to define ourselves. And in
Yeah.
during this define, because how we define ourselves, I think there will be so many ways, but with Saturn's way, we try very hard and we draw the line. Most people will say, I'm this, I'm that, I'm this, I'm that. But I think Saturn in first house way to 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 kind of define themselves is I am not this and I am not
Yeah.
that. Yeah.
Yeah. I agree.
So
Yeah.
yes, have you? I think I heard you prepare one example for us today.
Yes. So we have an example for Saturn in the first, which is the chart of Skinner. So his name is, I have it
Mm,
here, wait. His full name is Burrus Frederick Skinner. He
mm-hmm,
was born in Massachusetts, in Pennsylvania, sorry,
mm-hmm,
in 1904. And he's the psychologist that developed behavioral psychologist, basically. So he did a lot of tests with rats and checking the conditioning, how conditioning works in behavior. And there was some
mm.
controversy because he did some tests with a little girl, I remember with a baby. So it's
Uh,
quite a controversial figure, yes.
I
And as you see in the
see.
chart, yeah, terrible.
Mm,
He has Saturn in Aquarius in the first house, ruling his chart. So
mm.
it's very important, this Saturn in Aquarius. And you really see in that, right? The image of a
Yes,
scientist, say, the idea
yes.
that him is a scientist, the idea that he has to prove his authority, he has to prove his authority. He
Mm-hmm,
rejects psychoanalysis or any idea of the unconscious because he says psychology should be able to be measured, very Saturn. And so basically, you cannot measure the unconscious, but you can measure behavior. You can see behavior and you can measure that.
ah,
And so that's why he developed this psychology. He said that psychology is not the science that studies the soul, it's a science that studies behavior. And you can
that,
influence behavior. He would say, I think he had a phrase something like, give me a mean boy and I will condition
yeah.
him to empathy. So he believed that everything could be programmed and conditioned with this Saturn in
Oh,
Aquarius in the first. And that's also, it
wow.
was revolutionary. Now we look at it with horror, but at the moment it was revolutionary what he discovered. Because it's true that in some way, some of his theories work. It's true that we are conditioned. It's true that
Mm-hmm,
that's why marketing works. We see certain colors, we hear certain music, and we have an unconscious reaction, right?
mm,
Um, so it's not like everything he did is in many ways, yeah, it's a valid school of psychology, and it's still some of his techniques are still used
mm-hmm,
today
mm,
for phobias and stuff. Sometimes it
mm-hmm.
helps a lot to just recondition the
Yeah,
stimulus.
that looks so interesting, especially with that Saturn in the Aquarius. They invite us to look at the whole picture and to see a study in a very different way rather than follow one other people thing. And so he really turned it into the different view about like you say behavior. And then when you mentioned about the case, he say a mean boy, we can condition it. While you saying that, and I was noticed he has that Saturn in 17-degree Aquarius. Try that Pluto at 18-degree of a Gemini. Give me that bad boy, and I'm going to manipulate him. I'm going to discipline him into a something else. And that was so interesting, right fit into the chart. And yes, Saturn in the first house, I think they think what they think is a whole world, because in the first house is how we see the world. When Saturn in the first house, they see the world with a Saturn's meaning, and that
Yes.
is like we are all programmed.
Yeah, exactly. Also, this idea to trying to find, when he's saying there's no soul, we cannot study what's happening inside the mind because cannot be
Yeah.
measured. The idea to find this,
Mm.
a way of structuring an approach to intervene that it's so realistic. I don't know, it's so Saturnian, so like,
Yeah.
yeah.
So interesting. Wow. Thank you, Alejo, for
Even
sharing
though
this
you
chart
see,
with us.
I mean, it's
Yeah.
interesting that he was a Pisces with Mercury in
Yeah.
Pisces
Yeah.
and Venus
Yeah.
in Pisces. So, but basically, he was a
Yeah.
Sun in Pisces with Mercury in Pisces. And a
Yeah.
lot of scientists have this. A lot of scientists have a
Indeed.
lot of Pisces.
Indeed. Indeed. I think that's one maybe misunderstood of the Pisces, because a lot of people think about Pisces don't understand the realistic world. They do. They probably
Mhm.
do. They do, but they have ability to channeling into another dimension. It's not they living there. They living here too. They living here too. But they have an extra ability to connect with something intangible. That's how I read Pisces. They don't. They are not just dreamer. They can living in the reality. That's why so like as you say, so many scientists they are Pisces. Why? Because they can see things very different way. Maybe we see like a
Yes.
3 dimension, but then they can see maybe so-called 4 dimension. Time is not fixed in now. They can, move it around. So maybe that's why they are so genius. Okay, well,
Yeah,
thank you,
it's true.
Alejo. I think today's chat is so interesting, and thank you for sharing this interesting story with the Saturn in the first house. So next time when you see someone or yourself has Saturn in the first house, don't just think about, oh, come on, I'm a failure, or this is why I'm so bad luck. Well, you can apply the
Skinner was,
Saturn.
sorry that I interrupt. Skinner
Yeah.
is considered one of the most influential psychologists in the 20th century.
Mm,
So he did
yeah.
rise to becoming to a position of authority. And nowadays, a lot of he had a huge impact in the psychology
Mm-hmm.
of education and in social
Mm.
experiments. Like I'm saying, marketing draws a lot
Mm-hmm.
of ideas from this kind of experiments.
Yeah. So Saturn in the first house, he becomes so important and with a very, very, I think, physical, also material world way. And that is a fantastic example. Thank you, Alejo. And don't forget, if you want to join Alejo's aspect, right? Minus aspect talk,
Minor,
and
yes.
also chart interpretation, please contact Faculty of Astrology. And also, if you want to join I think it's what day for the astrology UA? 17th or
It's
double check it.
17 or 19 now, I don't remember. It's
Yeah,
16th. 16th.
16th.
Yes, it's
16th
16th.
February.
Friday.
16th, yeah, 16th February Friday for the astrology UA. Please contact Astrological Association and please just like book your seat, because it's free event, but you still need to book your seat. And we also welcome your donation. It's not to me, it's not to Alejo. It's not to Alejo. It's to Astrological Association, and we need some help too. Okay, so you're welcome, and thank you for watching and listening to Miss Astrology. And next week we'll continue to the Saturn's journey to the second house. See you later. Stay tuned. Bye bye.
Bye bye.